Orton was the child of an unusually bleak marriage. His father was a gardener, his mother a barmaid. He, his brother and two sisters were brought up in a working-class district of Leicester during the 40s and 50s.
The world that we inhabited in the early days was just a world of work and scraps of bought pleasures. You know, Marilyn, Dougie and Joe and myself in the summer holidays. We used to go on bikes and we used to swim in the canal. Hello? Can I come in?
Does it bring back memories?
It does. Yes, very mixed feelings actually about the place. Not very nice. Wouldn't like to go back to my childhood, certainly not. Very impoverished.
In what way not nice?
I don't know, very lonely. No, no physical love. Sort of, children when they think back usually think about mum and dad and brothers and sisters with fondness. I suppose it was with mum being out at work all day and having to fend for oneself. And those memories are not good. The estate was labelled a slum area, really. I mean, if you said he lived in the Saffron Lane, people sort of thought, oh dear, you know what sort of people they are. But looking at it yesterday, it seemed to be line for line the same as Joe wrote about in Entertaining Mr. Sloane. This, when Sloane says a perfect skyline you've got here, Lord Snowdon would give you something for a shot of that. Stunning it is. Stunning.
Perfect skyline you got there. Stunning it is, stunning.
We tried putting in for one of them flats. No good. My boss was alive, I'd have gone to him. He knew the right people.
Dead, is he?
No, he was murdered. On the unsolved crimes list he is.
A murderer not brought to justice? That's a sobering thought.
Somebody said all your father wanted in his life was a greenhouse and he never had one. Was that
Not much chance of putting a greenhouse here, was there? No, he was a man of little ambitions, really. He would have loved a greenhouse, but he never aspired to that, so. And Joe used to have a hammock suspended between these two posts. And he used to lay in this hammock and think he was on some Caribbean island. And he used to put his glass of water in that there, and if it was hot, nobody else could get in the hammock, because that was his. He made it out of a bit of old carpet and rope.
And Lars says he shocked you once.
Oh yes, he used to lay here, outstretched, and fiddle with his nipples. And I used to think he was ever so rude doing that. I used to think, what's he doing that for? Is he getting some sort of sexual excitement out of that? If he came to the Saffron Lane area, he wouldn't poke fun or mock the person that was really trying to be sincere. It was just the pretentious sort of person that tried to be something that he wasn't. That made Joe laugh. Like my mother was a very pretentious woman in many ways. And I mean, I say it in the most fondest way. She would do things and wear things that remind me of Cathy.
We ended up with a fabulous place. Soft music, pink shades, lovely atmosphere. One of the hostesses gave me a number, told me to ring her.
Take no notice of her, Mr. Toad. She might not be nice, she might be a party girl.
You know, You're developing distinctly possessive tendencies.
Mama can't be possessive, that's naughty.
Never heard of a possessive mom.
Oh, Mr. Sloane, that's rude. Did she teach you to say that? You're spoiling yourself in my eyes, Mr. Sloane. Don't know why you want to bother with these girls when you have your friends for company.
They're boys.
Well, you can speak freely with them. Not like with a lady. Perhaps she's after your money.
I ain't got any.
Well, she made you ill.
Oh, shut it. Make me ill.
Girls do.
You disgust me, you do. Sitting there without your teeth. You disgust me.
My teeth, Mr. Sloane. Since you mentioned the matter which a true gentleman would hesitate.
Which a true gentleman would hesitate to do, Mr.
Are in the
Sloane.
kitchen in Sturging. Unlike some who are careless with their dentures, I allow mine a good soak almost every night. Do I really disgust you?
You horrify me.
In the early diaries, he wrote, "Wish I was a member of the idle rich."
What was his way of escape?
Well, he had elocution lessons from a woman called Madame Rotheray. There was nothing madamish about her at all. And through her, she sort of coached him up to RADA standard, but she was absolutely convinced that he'd never get to RADA. He had a slight lisp. And, but Joe sort of was determined to get out of Leicester. And he won a scholarship to RADA.
It was summer 1951 that they both entered, in fact. And here, in this rather battered volume, you'll see John Orton's name, John Orton as he was, down here, having entered that year. And also, on another page, because he was in a slightly different group, Kenneth Halliwell. It's quite interesting because every term, actors were tested up to a point, you know, in certain parts they play. And the then principal used to make notes. His name was Sir Kenneth Barnes. And he used to make notes, I suppose, snap decisions or snap judgments, in fact, which perhaps it's a little unfair to quote, but of course it's rather interesting with hindsight. And I noticed that in John Orton's case, he played the clown in Twelfth Night in his first term, and Kenneth Barnes had written against it, surprisingly mobile. At the same time, his pal, Ken Halliwell, was playing Jaques in As You Like It, and all we get from that was, seems to have a sense of philosophy. In fact, I suppose the remarks made about John Orton are slightly more intriguing than those made about Halliwell, who gives me the impression of being something of a plodder.
Halliwell came from a middle-class environment. He was a mother's boy. His father was very taciturn and quiet. And the great trauma in Halliwell's life happened at the age of 11 when a bee stung his mother on the tongue, and she died within 10 seconds in front of him. The whole family life ended when he was 17, only 7 years later, when he came downstairs and found his father with his head in the oven. This is very interesting. What he did was, he stepped over his father, put on the kettle, turned off the gas in the oven, made a cup of tea, went upstairs to shave, and went next door to tell next door neighbors that his father was dead.
Kenneth was always sort of rather self-conscious. He blushed. And another thing I remember, he carried about him always an enormous pocket handkerchief. I'm saying enormous because he was so small. He had an acute sense of the ridiculous and a very, very good eye for inventiveness, for comedy. And this was very useful in mime or movement, you see. And he had certain personal mannerisms that I suppose were rather curious, but I found fascinating, I liked. His appearance, you see, the shaved head.
The shaved head?
The shaved head, yes, it was rather egg-like, and I told him so and asked him why he shaved his head. He said it was cooler. And he liked all that get-up. I think he found it rather practical.
So it's Halliwell always who's the stronger personality?
Oh, yes, yes. Comes out as the more dominant one, certainly.
Did you get the impression then that Halliwell and Orton were beginning their affair? Because that's where it started, rather.
Only by a little element of shyness when we met afterwards, around the corner, and were having a coffee. And Joe, with that lovely little bright face, would be listening, looking, and be rather shy of intruding in any way. They would then walk me to Goode Street Tube Station, say cheerio to me, and one just sensed something there. A little liaison was starting in the look in the eye, something.